Hello, my name is BenjaminLerner. I'm going to talk about a project, a property algorithm. So, in this case, I'm going to show how I procedural generate a cityscape. As you can see, I have a road where cars should go, a sidewalk that the people can walk, have buildings. Each building has a random color. I made this because before it was all black, and I thought maybe if I change the color to random, um, it would look cooler. And then I have a traffic. I have a bunch of traffic lights that are in each corner. So I'm going to so each time I press space, it will change into a new one. So the colors of the building is one obvious change. The other is there's tiles that there's no buildings, and in case there's no building, it has a grass tile. Can be a garden, or if there's a lot, it could be a park. Um, the other change is how high the buildings are. So the heights are at random, but um, it also depends on how close they are from the center of the city. The the closer the building are from the center of the city, uh, higher will be the building. Um, I'm going to change more so you can see that there's sometimes that instead of building they have like grass tile. And another change, it might be not too obvious, but is the length of the block. If you pay attention, it's not always the same. It can be like now it got larger. So for this algorithm, the first step is to make the layout of the map, um, where is going to be the tiles for the road, where will be the tiles for the building, for the grass. Um, the tile for the sidewalk is calculated once the buildings and the grass tiles are set, because depending on that, the sidewalk are going to be set, because has to surround the buildings and the grass. So that's the first step. The second step is set the the height of the building and the positioning. So I have a bidimensional array of floats. So based on the grid of the map, you get like float number, which is calculated based on how close they are from the center. It's not a complicated calculation, but essentially based on the x and y from the bidimensional array that I use for the map. Um, I get I that number minus the half of the weight or the width is depend if I calculated x and y, then I sum both of them and divide it by 2. So that's basically the calculation. So once I have that, I multiply by a number to at least give them a good height, and then I get a random number just to not be always the same. And then once I have the height, then I move the block because it's a cube, like the building is a cube. So I positioning in the I position based on half of the final height. And then the third step is putting the traffic light, which is something extra. Is in each corner. It it might have more that it needed, but it's good to be there. And also I changed the colors from the building. Um, so all the buildings, the road, all the objects that you see here, it become a child to the empty object, and essentially each time I reset it, I destroy all the child object of that empty object that is the parent of all the buildings, the tiles, and the traffic um, lights, and is changed. So the only thing that is constant is the height and the width of the map, although in the Unity you can change that. Something that was a challenge for this project is how to make my own algorithm. I think at the beginning was very hard. I had one idea. I discarded after that. It was half like a road. So at first I was thinking making a tiles of 9. So and then based on that have like a tile that is true or false based on if it can connect with the other tiles, but then it gets very complicated, so I discard that idea. I think I kept the script. I thought maybe I'm going to include it after that, but in the end I didn't. The other challenge I had is I wanted to add 3D assets for the building, and I did. It's on the Unity, but um, when I rescale the buildings and it's high and it's making height, um, it made the building looks weird. I wanted to make these looks more realistic, but because of this, I discarded. I have the assets on the Unity project, but in the end, I just used cubes. For the traffic lighting, I just made it using a cylinder, cube, and spheres from the Unity, so that was kind of easy. So I think this is very helpful to understand how this algorithm works. It uses a lot of um, for loops, especially two for loops when you use I and j or x and y. Also, this helps to understand how the positioning objects and how using the dimensional array it helps you to create a map. That's that's very awesome, and both me and my peers can um, learned a lot of that. I saw one of my peers made like a 2D platform game. It was in 2D, but the idea it was the same. A lot of it's very cool how you can make random maps, but even if it's at random, it has their own logic that always apply and makes sense. Like I'm changing um, the height or the length, sorry, of the block, but the sidewalk it will be always surrounding the buildings and the grass tiles. And this also applies for the traffic lights. Always going to be like on the corner of each, like each corner of each block. Um, yeah, it's very uh, interesting, but it's also hard because you have to imagine all the scenarios. Like what happens if the width is very large or is small or it's a certain number. Um, Sometimes it's not going to work, so you have to see how in the code you should be able to make it work even in those scenarios. Other than that, I think that ended up being a pretty cool project. I really liked how it looked. Like I had also an issue with how to apply OOP. I wanted to have a tile which has an enum based on the type of the tile. Um, but in the end, it didn't work. I still don't know why. So I changed it, and I just instead of having a class, I have an array, a bidimensional array of integers. So each number represents the type of the tile. It's not the best option, but it works. So that's um, what it counts in the end. That's everything. Thank you.